Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I'll be talking about another release in the initial batch of Decca Pure Analogue titles. This one is Sibelius, Symphony No. 5 and 7, along with Tapiola, a tone poem, by Colin Davis and the Boston Symphony Orchestra. If you haven't seen the original overview video, I suggest you watch that. It gives a lot of interesting details across the whole series. After that, I followed it up with the obvious sonic blockbuster, which was The Rite of Spring by George Schulte. You can watch that as well. I spent some time with this record, though, last night, and I have some thoughts about it. This record is unusual in this series because it's from Philips. Philips is a label that is now under the Decca umbrella. So we will be seeing Philips titles in this series, which I think is great. When I was collecting records, though, when I was collecting my classical catalog in earnest, I spent some time in New York. I was working my way through college, and I have an interesting story about Philips. I was cleaning apartments. I cleaned apartments for a few musicians, actually. And this guy lived above Academy Records in a loft. Really cool place. When I walked in, his walls were covered with vintage posters of Gilbert and Sullivan. So he was into that. He had a vintage system, Dahlquist speakers, tube amplifier, and a turntable, of course. But when I looked at his record collection, it was way different than my record collection. I was focusing on orchestral spectaculars, Decca, RCA, Mercury, some of the other labels. Philips was a label that I had preconceived notions of, but I didn't really pay attention to. I knew they had great artists, but that's about it. But when I looked at his record collection, which was large, it was mostly Philips records. And I think this is something that I'm starting to understand. Philips is a label that, while not known for spectacular type sound, they're known for very good engineering, more natural. And it's a music first label, I think, rather than sound first. That may be because, you know, the time I was focusing on was late 50s, early 60s. Now we're talking 70s. And by the 70s, you know, people had already been exposed to the magic of stereo. It wasn't something that you had to call out on the jacket every release. So Philips has a very different sound than, say, RCA Living Stereo, even though this, as a matter of fact, was recorded in Boston Symphony Hall, the home of many RCA Living Stereo recordings. When I put this on, I was thinking, my goodness, this sounds beautiful. And what I loved about it was it was a bit disarming because I imagined I'd have to make a lot of critical notes throughout this record. And I didn't end up writing anything. I pretty much dropped that whole thing halfway into Symphony No. 5. Because I was thinking, this is the most natural sounding record I've heard in a long time. It feels like you're sitting right there in a concert hall. This is much different than the upfront perspective, the exaggerated stereo soundstage of some of these other labels. This is not like that at all. One of the other things I noticed about this is the string sound is very beautiful. It never gets harsh. It never gets steely. It's always lovely, even in the climactic moments. Wonderful layering back to front. I mean, the depth is beautiful. The illusion of Boston Symphony Hall, which I've been in, is very, very good on this. Part of that might be due to the fact that this was a quad recording and it was mixed down to 2 for this release. As I listened to this, I realized I love Symphony Number 5 and 7 as well. They have so many beautiful things going on in these records. This has been expanded from the original layout of this record. Originally, it was a single record with Symphony Number 5, which is about 32 minutes long, crammed onto one side, and Symphony Number 7 on the other. Tapiola was on a different record. What they've done here is expand it to 2 records, which I think is very smart. That first symphony needs room to breathe, and here it has 2 sides to itself. So you have Symphony Number 5, first 2 movements on the first side, the climax on the second side, and Symphony Number 5 on its own side, which is about 22 minutes, just about perfect, and Tapiola on the fourth side, perfect. So mixed down from quad, expanded scope of the pressing, so it's a 2-record set now. And the sound was so relaxed, so immersive, beyond criticism. So was the performance. Colin Davis has a real affinity for Sibelius. There's no question about that. I'm not the biggest fan of Sibelius. I have some RCAs from I think, Monteau, and maybe some other things across my collection. But this really surprised me. I was engaged with this record, start to finish. It was beautiful. I loved certain things in this. The rolling drum sound, the balance from top to bottom was perfect. The dynamic range was wonderful. This is very quiet pressing, and there's lots of very quiet areas where you hear pizzicato strings, and it's just gorgeous. There are climaxes in a couple of places on the end of side 1, on the end of side 2, holds together perfectly. Unlike many famous RCA Living Stereo and even Decca London as well, the engineers really did a wonderful job with this, and there's no wonder that this is held in such high esteem. Let me show you quickly the jacket before I go. This jacket is a lightly textured matte finish, and look at how beautiful the artwork looks on this. This artwork has, this artist is featured across all of the Sibelius records from this series. Inside you see the tape boxes, and the 2 records have the original Philips label, which I featured on the thumbnail because it is so iconic. Beautiful. The pressings are wonderful, by the way. This series is doing really well. I actually don't even know if this is still available. I know it's a little late, and I apologize for that. I have so much on my desk that I thought, let me just do the overview and at least do one review. But after hearing this, there was no way I couldn't talk about it. Perhaps you can find a copy, because it was one of the most pleasant, beautiful, and engaging listens that I've had in a while, and a nice discovery from the Decca Pure Analogue series. Let me know if you've heard it. Until next time, I'm Scott for The Pressing Matters. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.